The promise of spring is in the air. Time for a week in review. Hello again. Well, another week went by and didn't have a lot of activity in comics outside the house this week. I was very busy at work, and I did spend a lot of time during the culling process of my personal collection, books that I really don't want anymore. I've been pulling those out. I have two long boxes that I pulled this week, and I'm going to go through and prep those and get them going for sale. So really, I spent a lot of time doing that, and as you're doing that, you get a lot of thoughts and things in your head, and you come across books and stuff like that. And I didn't have any pickups this week. I didn't go to any comic shops or anything like that. I didn't buy anything online. So I did come across this though, and it's very topical for the movie that's coming out, the Avengers movie. It's the promo for Infinity Gauntlet, and this came out, and if you bought the comic back then off the shelf, you got a copy of this. So it's pretty cool. And you can see the focus of this series was really Adam Warlock, which they haven't even introduced him yet, other than possibly he's in the cocoon in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And it just gives you a little bit of talk. There's Mephisto whispering in his ear. But pretty cool, and you can see Mistress Death. She's kind of in the background. Neat image. But that's really the only thing that I came across I thought would be kind of fun to look at. This week's sermon is more of, I guess, thoughts than a sermon. I guess I'd call it Chasing Nostalgia. And I realized something this week, that when I got back into collecting, that's what I was doing. I was chasing that feeling, the nostalgia that I had for comics and collecting back in the day. And something came to me as I was going through my books, is you really can't recapture the past. I guess it's, if you think of it this way, if you've ever had a big life event like a wedding or a really big birthday party or something like that, and as you go through it and you live through it, it feels so grand and awesome. And then if you go back and watch the video, it doesn't quite seem as much, as grand or whatever. Or say that you go back and watch an old movie, the movie that you loved back in, like, say, the 80s or 90s. You go back and watch it now, and it's not as good. And some of that's because technology and storytelling, things like that have improved for movies. But and the other thing is, you've changed. You're not the same person you were when you watched that movie 20 years ago. And they seldom hold up. And I think nostalgia's like that. It's you have these little quirky things in your head that you remember that trigger happy memories. And really, I guess when you get right down to it, it's that happiness that you kind of are chasing. At least for us guys that are collected in the 70s and 80s, or even in the 60s, that are chasing this. We're kind of chasing not so much the books. I've come to realize, for me, it's more you're chasing that feeling. And I kind of realize it's an aha and then an oh moment. I don't think you can recapture that. Maybe some of you else have been successful. I have had a lot of fun doing it, but I guess the homework exercise will help you with that. And what I did is I went back and I thought of a book that when I read it and I had it in my hands, how much it meant to me, and I just said, okay, I'm going to get it out and look at it again, and I did. It's my hammered copy of Spider-Man 129, and it's coverless, and the pages are barely hanging on, but the smell is unbelievable. In previous videos I've talked about, I used to read a lot on a sand pile, and I can feel a little bit of grit in this still. So this was definitely a sand pile comic, but I could go out and get a 9/8 of this, but I wouldn't feel the same as if I had this. So just do that. Go back and get the oldest book you have, not the oldest comic you have, because you can go buy a Golden Age comic today. The oldest one you kind of remember, one of the older ones you remember first getting as your own comic, and take it in your hands and look at it and smell it and see if it feels this. Now, this will be a lesser extent for those of you that start collecting in the 90s or even the 2000s, but for the older collectors, and just see how happy you feel holding that old book and looking at it and reading the story. And for me, it definitely cements my thought processes that I've kind of been documenting in these videos, and these weekly sermons that I keep having, and having goals and things like that. But I definitely think I I don't want to go back and get those books. I think I cherish my landfill books, and I think I'm gonna get those more prepped up and get them up here. I'd rather have them up here than all these pristine brand new books. So I guess that's it for the week. Is I'm not sure you can capture the past the way that maybe you hope, and that will affect how you buy and things like that. Because for me, I think I'm fortunate enough that before I ran down that pathway and started collecting everything and grabbing everything I could, and then getting to the end and realizing it didn't make me happy, and then I had spent thousands of dollars and I have 30 long boxes. Now that's not to say some people like that. That is collecting for them. They like that feeling, and if that's what makes you happy, that's awesome. So I guess that's it. Recommendations, still super strong on Legion. This is the 3rd episode of season 2. It's getting better every week. It's just so well done. Everything about it, the little music, the commercial break things that they do. I like everything about the show. The acting's great. The character development's just increasing and getting more interesting. There's the Carrie character, the doctor and the younger girl that kind of meld into one person. There's some great scenes in the beginning with them that you wouldn't expect to see in the superhero movie or comic book or TV show. So even without superpowers, I would watch these characters. Very interesting. And then I got back into the Terror. I had only watched the first 2 episodes. I think I started the 3rd, but anyway, I went back and I started from the beginning and I watched it the whole way through. And again, it's a strong recommendation. I really do enjoy it. Yes, there is no breath when they're outside, and there probably should be. I keep meaning to look it up because at one point they referenced that it's -52 out, and I didn't know if it gets that cold, do you not see your breath? Does it just instantly crystallize? So there's no time for steam. Maybe it just disappears. There is one scene where the creature is breathing underneath the girl's igloo, and you can see a lot of breath, but that's the only time. So, but it's good. It's got that very Englishy feel to it, very proper, and they're in a totally hostile environment. So it's funny to watch them interact and try to maintain their their properness and their set of responsibilities, even though they're horrible things are going on. Like they drink tea with nice china and things like that, and the boat's listing heavily and they're stuck in ice and there's a monster trying to kill them, but they still have tea time. So it's to me it's amusing, and I imagine that's how they really would have been. And then excuse me, as far as pick of the week, I don't have a specific video. It's more of a channel. I think a lot of you have caught on and seen Comic Boss 1. He had a series that he came out with yesterday, and it's 3 different videos, and he has different themes to top 10 covers. And whether you agree or not, it's just fun to look at them and to hear other people, other collectors, reasons why they feel that something's a top 10 or not. I think was pretty neat, and his accent makes it fun. Comic Boss 1, if you're watching this, read Green Eggs and Ham. I think that would be a great video. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all this week. Nice and short. It's what I'm going to try to do from now on. And until next time, life, liberty, and the pursuit of comics.